Hey everyone, it's Brian from Greenfield. Today we're talking about tests in Draw Steel. What are they? How they work. I'll also riff on what I think are some really excellent things about tests that make them both easier to use and more impactful, both for players and directors. Okay, what are tests? A test is what happens when a hero in Draw Steel tries to do something that involves risk, trying to scale a wall without being noticed, negotiating with an enemy, and so on. This should sound similar to a skill check in D&D because so far they are similar. But how do they work? If there's a risk of failure and that failure can or will lead to drama and danger, then the director or GM will call for a test. They will ask the player to make a power roll using the characteristic that is most appropriate given what they're trying to do. Might for climbing a wall, agility for picking a lock, and so on. Okay, so the player announces they're going to do something. The director determines that it involves the risk of dramatic failure, and they call for a test. At this point, the player asks if they can use a skill. I did a whole video on skills here. Here, I'm actually not sure yet. Let's say the director says yes. The player rolls 2d10, adds their characteristic score, then adds 2 from their skill. Kind of like this. I'm going to climb that castle wall, then sneak down and open the gates for the rest of my party. There are guards above and below. Are you sure? Are you calling Knuckles a coward? Of course I'm sure. Okay, Knuckles, roll a might test. I am skilled at climbing. Of course you are, Knuckles. Sure, add it. I am mighty and skilled. Knuckles will succeed. Okay, well, that's the end of this video. Kidding, of course. No, that actually leads me to the section where we get into what I think makes skills really unique and perhaps a better experience for both directors and players. You see, tests can be classified as easy, medium, or hard. Because Draw Steel's power rolls work as a distribution, it allows the designers to create different sets of outcomes while still using the same 3 breakpoints to determine those outcomes. Those breakpoints being 11 and lower, 12 to 16, or 17 and higher. Here's what the outcomes for an easy test looked like: failure, success, and success with a reward. Here's a medium test. This is where it gets interesting: failure with a consequence, success with a consequence, and success. In other words, the reward for rolling a 17 on a medium test is just the fact that you succeeded, while a 17 on an easy test is success plus some other bonus. Here's a hard test: failure and a consequence, just a normal failure, and just a success. Serious stuff. Here's what the math looks like on these various outcomes. This is probably going to cover my face. Because the power roll is a distribution, the players and the directors should pretty quickly get a feel for how likely it is to roll a certain outcome, unlike a d20 where every outcome has a 5% chance. The table also demonstrates how impactful edges and banes are. Rolling a test with a -2 characteristic means at least a 72% chance of failure. Getting an edge, or adding a skill, turns that into just a 55% chance of failure, basically a coin flip. It's also worth noting that rolling a natural 19 or 20 on your 2d10 is considered a critical success. You succeed and get a reward regardless of the difficulty of the test. This bakes into the rules the sort of critical success on skill checks that technically isn't in the rules for D&D, but is used by most tables. So you're telling me there's a chance? Quiet, Knuckles. Okay, this whole design with different difficulties and rewards and consequences, it all feels really good. It gives the director clear rules for multiple states of failure and success. In D&D, you are given guidelines for what constitutes easy, medium, and hard DCs for skill checks, but you aren't given this range of outcomes with consequences and failures. Matt Colville's video on multiple fail states was a revelation for me, frankly, and here it's just built right into the game. But wait, there's more. The game gives you examples of consequences and failures, including both immediate and delayed varieties. So directors aren't floundering to improv something. And it includes an optional rule that encourages players to pitch consequences and rewards to the director, engaging them a little bit more. But wait, there's more. Down in the skills section, the game includes even more rewards and consequences for use when a player is applying a particular skill to a test. I made a handy table here somewhere, and I'll put a link to it down in the description. All of this is frankly outstanding, I think. It equips directors to make every test interesting. Knuckles doesn't just fail to climb the wall, he makes so much noise hitting the ground that he draws the attention of every guard within 300 feet. Or he knocks himself unconscious hitting the ground, and now another member of the party has to sneak into the bushes where he landed and drag him out without attracting attention. Another test. All of that is something that D&D DMs learn to do eventually, but here it's just built right into the rules. This whole construct is also excellent for players. Because of how the power rule works, players always know when something is a success or a failure, especially if the director tells them the difficulty level of the test in advance. Knowing the chance of success and knowing the outcomes can really engage the players and increase the tension of the role. In our D&D game, I've started sharing the DCs for skill checks and saving throws more frequently. There are arguments not to do this, one of which is that players will be more willing to use abilities that increase their chances of success if they know exactly what those chances are. But the longer I've played, the more I think that particular argument is hogwash, frankly. I want my players to use their abilities. I want my players to play the game. I just described tests as engaging, and I said the same thing about skills. Between that and things like triggered actions, it's clear that one of the things the Draw Steel designers are solving for is player engagement. And I think that's actually a big deal, maybe even bigger than some people might realize at this stage. Most players don't have time to play in multiple campaigns or to play for 6 or 8 hours at a time. My group is all working parents. We get one night a week to play, usually for 3 hours, assuming we're not traveling. Maximizing engagement, maximizing fun, rolling the dice and facing the consequences. Otherwise, what is all of this for? Why are we playing the game, if not to play the game? All right, that's it for this one. There's more on tests in the backer packet, things like montage tests and reactive tests, but I didn't think they needed their own section here. Maybe another video for another time. We'll see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.